What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler, and this video is going to be slightly different. We're not actually going to be talking about Episode 9 in particular. We want to talk about how the next trilogy, the future Star Wars trilogy, why we believe it's going to fail. So, yes, still a little negative, that's for sure, but I think we have good reasons. I honestly feel like we have good reasons, and it's a discussion. We love Star Wars. We want Star Wars to be at its absolute best. We want these movies to be amazing, but with all of the signs, all the stuff we've seen, I think there's a lot that we can actually go off of to make us believe that that the next, whatever it is, not episode whatever, but whatever the next stories they want to tell with Star Wars, why they will be a failure. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to hand over to Tyler after. I really do believe this is going to be pretty grim going in the future. The way they'll start to handle it is talk about fatigue, and even if the next movies do fail, they'll talk about how it's not, the main characters, how maybe the Skywalker thing did hold weight, there's no characters that we've known for a while, it didn't have the help of other characters, even, if Episode 7 was, terrible and it bombed, that would have been a big deal, not because it had new characters, but because it was trying to start a new generation while also tying it in with the original story, having Han, having Leia, having Luke at the end, right? So they're trying to, make it all synchronized, basically, right? And so if it bombed, it would have been a big deal. These next ones, from everything we've seen, well, here's the deal. Episodes 7, 8, 9 have divided the fan. Not really 7. I really don't believe 7. I still think 7 is a really, really good movie. Not a lot of people give it credit. I feel like the people saying 8 or 9 is better than 7, I really don't know where they're coming from. It's okay to disagree, and that's totally cool, but I think 7 is the best one out of all these three. I think there's parts of 9 that are the best, but I think 7 overall is easily the best. But you look at 8 and 9 in particular, and we've never seen, I don't think we've ever seen a fan base in general divided so much, but definitely the Star Wars fan base, I don't think has ever been divided as much. Now you're seeing loads of people kick up past examples and start making stuff up of, and I agree to some of them to some extent. Everybody hated 6 at the time, but then, a couple, throughout time it got more love. I really don't think that's all that true. It still made a lot of money. I don't think it divided as many people as any of these movies. You look at the prequels, and I'm also seeing this with the prequels as well of, they're getting a whole lot more love now than they did back then. To be honest with you, I feel like half of that is people really want to hate this trilogy and say that trilogy is better, so it's going to get more love. I also feel like, yeah, over time, we've all kind of just respected a little bit more the heart and kind of what George Lucas wanted to do with them, even though the execution was god-awful. At least there was heart, and there was actually a good story buried deep within that you really can't get, but it's trying to be there. I really feel like, honestly, those are the two things that are making that more popular. But when it comes to these, look, at the end of the day, Episode 9 is going to have a tough time cracking $1 billion. And you could say that's still $1 billion. It is. I'd call that a failure, though. I really would. Judging off of how 7 and 8 did, judging off how all the Marvel movies do, judging off how Disney movies do in general, but especially Star Wars, you want these movies to at least hit $1 billion on the worst possible day, but really you want these to do even more. I mean, these are supposed to be, this is like a cultural phenomenon, Star Wars. It's supposed to be a thing that so many people across the entire world absolutely love. It's withstood the test of time. It's been around for almost 50 years, and it'll probably be around for another 50 years because it just has that staying power. It should do well. And you look at just the box office, they are falling apart. And that will, I guarantee you, continue for the future. Firstly, because it's a brand new thing. People aren't going to be as invested in it, right? Maybe it'll get some people added on because it is completely separate and a new opportunity to do something. Maybe the new directors or whoever they have doing this, or the writer, maybe that wins people over. But I really think just because it's completely outside of the 9 movies, if it doesn't have the episode number, and yeah, Rogue One didn't have the episode number, but I feel like that was still peak Star Wars mania, that you had to go see all these movies. I really feel like box office wise, it's going to fall. Besides that, you also have just the fact that fans are tired of this. They are not worn out, or at least they're not worn out in the way that media would like you to believe. There is no such thing as Star Wars fatigue. There is such a thing as bad Star Wars movies and good Star Wars movies, and people going to see good movies and people not going to see bad movies. Now, yes, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. You could think 9 is great. Somebody else could think it's bad. You could go or you could not go based off of one of those two thoughts. I'm not saying that's wrong. However, you have those people. Those people exist, and it's never been higher. There were people that gave 9 a chance simply because, well, firstly, they just want to see how bad it was going to be, or it's the 9th movie, you got to see how it ends, right? Because it's just that, like, you can't really miss out on it. There's a lot of reasons why people probably gave 9 a chance when they otherwise wouldn't have, okay? And those people, especially if they were disappointed again, 2 strikes, you're out in this scenario, by the way. Episode 8 was the first thing that broke people's backs. Episode 9, if you hated 8 but gave 9 a chance, and you didn't like it, you're probably done. Most likely you're probably done. So I feel like you're just going to have all of these people that are just done. Again, not worn out. Worn out because of bad movies. Because they're like, I cannot stand by and watch Star Wars do this, so I am out. And I feel like there are more people that think like that than, again, the media would want you to believe. Episode 9 is going to have a hard time making a ton of money. And it depends on what you think a ton of money is. But if it's $1 billion, I think it's actually going to have quite a tough time getting to $1 billion. And then if you want to think above $1 billion, really the last episode should do rather well. The middle one should be the weakest in terms of box office, I believe. Episode 7 did over $2 billion. Episode 8 did like 1.3. That's, I think it's because it was a bad movie. That's one of the main reasons. But also it's that middle act. Not as many people are going to be invested, but this is the ending of the trilogy, but not just that, it's the ending of like 42 years of Star Wars, of this Luke Skywalker, of the Skywalker tale in general. People that watched episode 7, or people that watched episode 4 in 1977, watching this is a big deal. So you would expect this to make more than episode 8. I feel like that's generally what you want from trilogies. I do not think it's going to do that. So you look ahead, I really, and even like if RJ eventually gets his trilogy or whatever the heck's going on with that, I think people will revolt that because of what he did with episode 8. I really think they're in some honestly, huge trouble. I wouldn't say 9 killed Star Wars. I don't think Star Wars is dead. I think Star Wars can easily be saved. You see with The Mandalorian. You see with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. There are good Star Wars properties that still exist. It is not all that difficult, I think, to make one that is successful. I think they can still do it, but this new, whatever they come up with in 3 years, December of 2022, I feel like it's in a lot of trouble, and it's definitely, it's on the wrong side, right? It's got to win a lot of people over. It's not going in hot. It's going in very cold, where it's got to, convince people that it needs to be seen. When something that has the Star Wars name, honestly shouldn't have to do that, because it's just got the, hey, we're Star Wars, we've always been good, and really not a lot of movies have ever been able to say that going in, right? But you ideally would want that. It's going to be really interesting to me to see what this next trilogy in general can do. But we'll be covering it, right up through it and once that movie comes out. So I'm very excited to see it. So I'm going to hand over to Tyler to see what he thinks about the future of Star Wars.
I hate to say it, but I really do think that this next, the brand new, all new trilogy that starts in December of 2022, I really hate to say it, I think it's going to fail. I honestly think it's going to fail almost automatically, which is bad. And I do feel really, really bad. I am a Star Wars fan. I don't consider myself a hardcore Star Wars fan. I used to be. And has nothing to do with Disney. I just kind of changed a little bit. But I really think that this next trilogy is going to fail. And here's why. I mean, you look at China for The Rise of Skywalker. Well, first of all, Last Jedi, they pulled it from theaters. I'm going to make a prediction right now. Hopefully this video goes up in time. I have a feeling that The Rise of Skywalker is going to be pulled from Chinese theaters. On opening night, it only made $2.2 million. If you don't understand how small of a number that is abysmal. $2.2 million on opening night in China is terrible. So no one cares. I mean, again, it's China, not the United States, but they usually eat up these type of movies. They don't care anymore. A lot of these, you look at online, the reviews, looking at Twitter. I was looking right before I recorded this. And I mean, people are shredding. They're saying that the Rise of Skywalker is a terrible message for women. It's a bad message for certain races. They're just ripping this movie apart. And guilty we are too on this channel, but not to that level. All we're talking about is the story sucks. The plot, some of the character development, or the character development that they didn't have. A lot of those things. We're just talking about story elements on why it was bad. Things that just didn't make sense. We still liked a lot of it. There's just a lot that we really did not like. But we're not saying like it's a terrible message for women or anything like that. But people are really going hard into this movie. And here's the thing: is these are the people who do those things. There's not many, but there's enough. They don't forget. They will not step foot and see another Star Wars film. In fact, I'm going to correct that statement. Their followers, whoever read that, probably won't. These people probably will, simply to tear the next one apart. Because now there's a target on Star Wars' back. And it has everything to do with agendas. It's that simple. I'm not even going to name them. But it's exactly what I just said. Now that the Rise of Skywalker is a bad message for women, some bad messages for different races and genders and so forth, it now has a target on its back. Where when the next trilogy, because again, they're taking 3 years off, well, guess what? These people are going to say, you know what? There's two things that could happen. They don't put the stuff that pleases us, or they do. If they do, we praise it. If they don't, we tear it apart. I don't know if they're going to, because coming off of 8, where they kind of did lean towards that direction, and then totally nullifying it, or basically not even caring that 8 even exists for the Rise of Skywalker, that made it worse. So now you're going to have these people coming back to whatever it's called, I don't care what it's called, the start of the next trilogy. They're going to be looking at Star Wars, and they're going to say, are you going to fall in line with what we like or not? If you don't, you are forever our villain, and we will destroy you. That alone, like bad press like that, is definitely not going to help. People not enjoying the movie, which they're not. Take a look at Rotten Tomatoes. You can say, hey, well, the audience score is pretty good. Just give it time. Give it another week or two. It'll go down. People like to go to the movies for Christmas sometimes. They're going to be looking and they're going to say, Cats or Star Wars? You know what? Jumanji. So, it's not... This is a terrible situation. It really is. And I almost feel bad because it is Star Wars and I want it to succeed. But I just don't see it happening. I don't see how that the next trilogy can do well. This movie's not doing well at all. It's not making a lot of money. People are not liking it. Fans are not liking it. And when I say fans, obviously there are some fans that will like it. I liked some of it. In fact, I like quite a bit of it. But there's a lot of it I just don't like. But a lot of that for me is all about story. It needs to make sense, and it just doesn't. If I'm someone who can just sit there and watch something with my eyes glazed and really, not, and that's kind of, I'm just kind of joking there. Just kind of sitting there just watching it and not caring, I'd love it. But the problem is that I care when I invest my time in my everything when I'm watching a show or a movie or a game or whatever. And when things don't make sense, I can't help it. It bothers me. I think quite a few people are like that, and that's what's happening. There's fans that are not enjoying it. There's regular people that are not enjoying it. Critics don't enjoy anything. They're, for the most part, losers, but they're not enjoying it. So very few. China's not enjoying it, which is bad for money's sake. So it's especially now with Disney Plus, and you got The Mandalorian, people are really liking it. So now it's kind of like a confliction where it's like, wait a minute. So the game is good. Jedi Fallen Order is doing really well. People are really liking it. The Mandalorian, people love. Can't stop talking about Baby Yoda and The Mandalorian. You have good game, good show, bad movie. Well, would you go see the next movie? No, because bad movie. Good show, good game. So that means I'm good with the games. I'm good with the shows on Disney Plus. but I'm not good with the movies. The movies are bad, so I'm not going to see the next movies. It's just, I have a feeling. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I have a feeling that the next trilogy will fail. And I'm going to predict this right now. And this won't be for months for it to be kind of like a confirmed thing. But I can almost guarantee that the week or two after The Rise of Skywalker has been out, so around this week or next, I think that internally they will cancel the Rian Johnson trilogy. Now, we can have a totally different video about that. But I think that'll be completely canceled just because I think they're going to have to go back to the drawing board on the movies. They're going to continue with the trilogy that they have planned. But after that, I think it's going to be a totally different ballgame. Don't be surprised if they come out with Episode 10 with Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. I really think that's a total possibility. I really do. But that's definitely a video that we can have in the future if it's something that interests you or if you want us to talk about. So let me know in the comments.
So guys, let us know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think the next Star Wars movie in 2022, do you think that movie is going to have some trouble to it? You know, what do you think Episode 9 did to Star Wars in general? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And we got new Star Wars videos going up every single day. And then once we finish this community series, we will still, of course, cover Star Wars. And especially when we get closer to this new movie, tons, I'm sure, to talk about regarding that. So thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you all on the next video.